In this tutorial series, we'll be developing hands-on one use case with Oracle SOA Suite. Use case is from machine-to-machine domain. There's a machine-to-machine platform which sends a request or indication whenever car leaves a geofence, and we implement a small composite service that doesn't check whether the car is moving because it's rented out, and if it's moving for unknown reasons, we launch a set of configurable actions. In the previous tutorial set, we started the SOA Suite environment. It's currently running, so the kind of text to be watching for is this one. SOA platform is running and accepting requests. That one indicates that the SOA Suite has been successfully launched and is ready to receive requests. We also created a user called simple, under which we will be creating all the kind of an auxiliary tables in this use case. So now we are ready to kind of go forward. So the first step is to create a kind of a database connections pools in the Oracle WebLogic server. So all the SOA Suite components like BP engine for process orchestration, rules engine, human workflow engine, and so on, they are all Java applications which run on top of a Java JEE application server. And because of that, they all already inherit a lot of functionality, such as the scalability, high availability from the application server. One of the other options, kind of other things that is managed by the application server is these kind of resource poolings. And in this tutorial part, we'll be creating a kind of a database related stuff, such as defining a data source, defining connection pools, linking the data source and connection pools together. And this is done with the kind of an administrative tool of Oracle WebLogic server called, it's the console. So the URL for the console is the name of the server where you are running it, the port where you configured it to run. It's by default it's 7001 and then /console. And this one starts the WebLogic server administrative console. If this is the first time you are connecting to the admin console after booting up the SOA server environment, this takes a little bit longer because then these applications for this kind of GUI applications are deployed at that time. But anyway, let's log in. So the username is WebLogic, and if you installed it according to the instructions which were I provided links in the first tutorial set, you should have a password such as something like welcome1. This is my password here. So the first thing to do, start defining here, is to define a data source. So let's go here in this domain structure, kind of path or pane, I think it's called, or panel in English. Open up services and data services. And I have a bunch of data services, data sources, but let's create a new generic data source here. And let's call this, for example, simple demo data source. So that's the kind of a name. And let's give it a kind of a J&D, JDBC. Let's it give a kind of a Java naming, Java name to be used, JNDI name. Then let's press next. Database driver, this thin driver is quite okay. Transaction options, nothing here. Database name, so I'm running it in Oracle XC. If you install the 11c, this would be ORCL by default. Host name, I'm running it in localhost. This is the default port 1521. My username, which I defined in previous tutorial set, is simple. I used welcome1. Let's go next. Here I can press test configuration button just to test that the connectivity is working. Yeah, okay, connection test succeeded. So all the parameters are right, I can go forward. This is the target, so I'm kind of okay, so this, by default there is a set of managed servers in the Oracle SOA Suite environment, and now I installed this in the development mode, which means that I have a server called admin server. If I deploy this, if I install this in kind of a production mode, I would have several servers. I would have an admin server, which is the server that houses all the kind of a GUIs for configuring the system and so on. And then I would have another managed server, usually called SOA underscore server 1, which then would be the kind of a managed server where all the applications that I create would be deployed and run. But because I'm running this in a kind of this development environment, development mode, then by default the installation scripts only create one admin server which houses both the kind of a GUIs for managing the environment as well as this. I also deploy my kind of composite services to this one. There's another element in Oracle SOA Suite called Business Activity Monitoring, which is used for real-time reporting and dashboarding, usually about the performance of the composite services. So in this tutorial set, we will not be covering that one, and I will not create this database kind of a data source to that server at all. So let's press finish, and then I have created a new data source into the application server. Okay, so it went okay. Next one is to go to the deployments part. And here I will be configuring this DB database adapter part, because we kind of created the new data source. So let's click that one. I need to go into this configuration tab, and there is this outbound connection pools. There is a set of existing kind of resources here, but I need to create a new outbound connection pool for the newly created data source. So let's press next. Select this one, the connection factory. Let's give this a JNDI name. So let's call this, for example, ACE DB, a simple demo database. This is the actual kind of a name that I will be using for my composite services. I will map this name to the newly created data source quite soon. Okay, this one went okay. Now I have created a new kind of a database connection pool. And the last thing is to link this connection pool with the data source. So let's expand this one, and let's click this newly created simple demo database part. And what I now need to do here is that I need to give the name of this created data source which I just created, and I think it was simple. Sorry, not dimple, but simple demo data source. One of the most common things why things don't work is that this name here is misspelled. Then I need to press enter. This is kind of a funny thing in this WebLogic server, otherwise it will not save that one. So now I have made the linkage between the data source and the newly created connection. Then I can press save, and everything went okay. The last thing which needs to be done, I'm not sure if this is really sure, but I will kind of press update, because this one reloads the database adapter. So let's press next. and let's press finish. Your screens might look slightly a little bit different. You can go into my blog and see that one. It depends whether you have created the database plan and so or not, because I have an old database plan which which is in use in this system, so I can't recreate exactly what it looks like if you do this for the first time. But you should have instructions on my blog how to go forward. And now we have created a kind of a database pooling in this Java application server, and from this part we are quite done for the moment. The last thing I will show is that, or maybe this is a good point to stop. So we have now kind of done the next logical step. We have created a kind of a database connections and poolings in the Java application server, and we are ready to proceed with the actual development. So thanks for watching and see you in the next tutorial.